What is up, guys? Silver Warrior here, and today what I'm going to be discussing for you is 5 misconceptions about silver stacking from non-silver stackers. So, obviously, this video is very straightforward. It's basically just outsiders, their thoughts about silver stackers or silver stacking itself and how, their misconceptions, a lot of the things that people think about us as a community, simply is not true. So the first thing I want to discuss is that silver stacking automatically means that you're a conspiracy theorist. Now, this I think is a little ridiculous because I believe there's a huge difference between being a conspiracy theorist and actually simply just connecting the dots and realizing what's what. Now, if you're stacking because you believe that let's say I don't know, you believe that the government is poisoning the dollars that you're touching so that they can control the population. Yeah, that's a conspiracy. If that were true, it'd be a conspiracy, and I certainly don't believe that's true because there's no evidence of that at all. But if you're simply stacking silver due to the fact that inflation is very rampant and you want to protect your wealth, then it doesn't mean you're a conspiracy theorist. It means you're just stacking silver based on common facts. Or not common facts, I should say just actual facts, because they're not very common if there's a misconception about them, obviously. So you're just stacking though because of common sense. I mean, something that anyone would be able to figure out with a little bit of research. You look at any kind of inflation calculator, and there's no time where over 5 years our currency became better. I mean, that's just a fact. You look over any 5-year period, and the currency has become weaker. So obviously, the currency is on a downward trend towards death, which means that even if the economy doesn't collapse, at the very least, every day your money is being slowly robbed from you. Now, the second thing that I want to discuss is that silver. There's just one type of silver, and that's it. It's just all there is when it comes to silver stacking is just generic silver. I guess they wouldn't call it that, obviously, but just like kilo silver bars or whatever. I mean, a lot of people who are outsiders to silver stacking will be like, oh, you guys, there's a kilo silver bars or something. Like, people don't really, I guess, understand there's other weights of silver and how expensive a kilo actually is of silver. I mean, all of this right here is just about a kilo. These 29 ounces is 1.15 ounces under a kilo, and it's decently expensive to get yourself. Get your hands on a kilo is over $600. So anyway, though, a lot of people I guess don't realize that when you're silver stacking, you can also be coin collecting. It's the same kind of thing. They just always think of pure silver bars. That's about it, or silver ingots as they like to call them. They don't realize that there's silver like this right here. Silver nickels. That's some junk you can be stacking through higher premium coins. I mean, higher premium constitutional coins. Higher premium bullion pieces or whatever. They don't make the connection between silver stacking and coin collecting. It's really what it comes down to, and they just think that silver stacking is just one thing. That that's it. There's nothing else to silver stacking. And that kind of leads me to my third misconception, which is that you can never make any money off of silver. Now, a lot of people believe this until they start seeing silver prices skyrocketing and they realize that there's a lot of money to be made in a bubble. Of course, they make the huge mistake of buying when everybody else is buying and selling when everyone else is selling. Now, obviously it's like, well, if everyone else is doing it, it must be right. Right? But no. Because doesn't it make more sense I always say this, but doesn't it make more sense to buy when everyone else is selling? So, like, when everyone else is trying to get rid of their silver really cheap and there's no demand for it, you buy, and then you sell when everyone else is trying to buy silver and is willing to pay well above what they should for it. Doesn't that make more sense? Isn't there a lot more money to be made? That's what I think. But anyway, a lot of people don't realize until a bubble happens how much money there is to be made, and then once a bubble does come along, they lose all their money, I like to think that, you know, in a situation like that, I'd be one of those people that was supplying the miners in the gold rush as opposed to being a miner in a gold rush, because all those people who were going out for the gold rush were just following the crowd. They were just, thinking, oh yeah, there's an insane amount of gold, I'm going to be rich. But the people who were selling this stuff to them were the ones that really made the money. The shop owners and stuff like that, the ones that were supplying them, those were the people who were actually making the money without really doing any work at all. A lot of miners spent more than they ever made out there, which is a pretty good, ratio for someone who's selling stuff. But anyway, the fourth misconception I'd like to discuss is all, precious metal investments are exactly the same thing. So a lot of people will believe that, buying silver and gold and platinum and palladium and all that stuff, it's all the same exact thing. And what a lot of people don't realize is that really there's huge differences between, all of them. I mean, obviously, over time, platinum has been more expensive than gold. I mean, that's just been kind of assumed as fact. But you look at it today, and gold's more expensive than platinum. So what that really means for you is that if you were somebody who had bought, let's say, platinum, right? And now, you're kind of screwed because the price has really gone down. But let's say you had bought gold. Well, since gold's more valuable now, you could, in theory, sell the gold and put the money into platinum and then wait for platinum to be more expensive. So what I'm trying to get at here is that the markets, they go well with each other. Obviously, they, are similar. I mean, all precious metal investing is going to be similar, but at the same time, what you have to remember is that, an ounce of silver, is 1/80th of the cost of an ounce of gold, okay? Yet the availability is like 1 to 12. So there's a lot of potential to make money from one market to another. So if you're just thinking, well, I might as well just, only ever invest in one market, then, that's okay. Silver, if you're going to only invest in one market, I'd definitely go with silver. But there's a lot of potential to make money between markets, what I'm saying? Certain markets go up or down, and that's the thing, is that when silver's going up, gold could go down, or vice versa. They're not tied to each other, which is the other kind of part of the misconception, is that the prices are always going to go up with each other. That's not really true. Both prices will bubble and dip at the same time, if it's severe enough, but plenty of times the ratio of silver to gold cost has changed. So historically, 2,000 years ago, the cost ratio for 1 ounce of, it was 1 ounce of silver, 1 ounce of gold for 16 ounces of silver. Now, it's, like I said, 1 to 80. So the prices aren't always going to be the same as, or aren't always going to go up the same amount. It's not like, silver is always going to be a certain amount to gold or anything like that. The markets can change freely on their own. They're not all one market. They're different. You have to respect the fact that they are different markets, and therefore, just because silver's making a lot of money doesn't mean gold's going to. Now, the fifth and final misconception that I would like to discuss is because of the fact that gold is more expensive than silver, it is automatically better. So, this kind of seems similar to the last one, but what a lot of people do believe is that, gold is just a much better investment than silver because it's much more valuable. Outsiders, of course, to the market. And, that's an absolutely ridiculous statement for a few reasons. First of all, overall, silver goes up more in percent than gold does, which means that if you'd bought, either 1 ounce of gold or 80 ounces of silver, you had the choice between the two, then your silver is going to go up more in value than your gold is. Also, right now, since the historic average is so much, different than the average right now, if you bought a lot of silver right now and you wait until the ratio goes down, then you could sell it out for gold if the ratio was 1 to 12 or 1 to 16 as opposed to 1 to 80. So right now, you should really be stacking as much silver as you can if you know enough about the market. You'd realize that you could make a huge amount of money off of the ratios changing. And also, silver is being used a lot more quickly than gold in terms of how available they both are. There is that 1 to 12 availability ratio, but silver is being used more than 12 times faster than gold, which is one of the things that's driving up its value faster. And silver has more industrial use than gold does too, or just use in general. Maybe not even just industrial, but just use overall. Silver has more of it than gold. honestly. So over time, what's going to happen is since gold's so expensive, people like to be able to use silver for electronics instead of gold. And over time, what's going to happen is people are going to figure out a way to only use silver. Now, of course, people eventually could figure out a way to only use copper as well in electronics, which would make silver obsolete as well as gold. But I think that the silver one's going to happen a lot faster because silver is a better conductor of electricity than gold is. Therefore, it's more useful in electronics. And so if they can find out a way to use less and less gold and more silver in phones, which could actually make them better and cheaper to produce, well, then they're certainly, the big companies are certainly going to do that. And therefore, gold is going to become obsolete, or at least more obsolete than it is now. I don't think gold's ever going to be completely out of use or anything, but I do believe that over time silver will be more and more heavily used to the point where silver might even become, only a fourth as cheap as gold. And you could make a huge amount of money investing in silver compared to investing in gold, especially if the demand goes down for gold as its use is slow. And last time I checked, a lot of countries that are hoarding metals are hoarding silver right now. They're not hoarding gold as much as they are silver because of the fact that silver is really cheap, and the people who are manipulating the prices know that silver should be a lot more expensive. If things were allowed to float freely, the markets were allowed to just go completely freely, then silver would be a twelfth of the cost of gold approximately. As displayed by a U.S. debt clock. So, yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and that is it for this one. Peace, love, and much respect.